Good afternoon. I think we are short of time. I'll make it as fast as possible. So, why this topic? As doctors, doctor community, we know everything about injuries and we know the benefits of physical activities and exercise, but we neglect it when compared to other communities. So, in general, in sport, when we talk about sports injuries, the most common cause for injuries to happen is one is either you are overtrained or you are undertrained or improperly trained. But in your sedentary life, the most commonest cause is poor posture, poor strength, sedentary life, and especially in weekend warriors where Monday to Saturday you are in a sedentary life and suddenly on Sundays you go to the turf and start playing football. That's the most commonest cause for getting injured. So a regular and repetitive episode can result in injury, and an occasional or a single episode can also result in some kind of injury to a joint or bone. So what is important when coming to injury? So this is the time when your muscles gets weak. This is the time when your muscle loses its strength and mass, and especially in sedentary individuals. So the studies show that there is an increase in 8% of muscle volume per decade. So as we age, we lose muscle because it's replaced with fat. So if you can see the MRI images, as we get older, the muscles are composed more of fat than the actual muscle mass. So is it reversible? Like 40 to 60 years, if the muscles get weak, is it reversible? Yes, absolutely. If you follow a strength training for 2 days a week, it's absolutely reversible. So what happens to our joints? So there will be wear and tear of the cartilage, the tissues and connective tissues and ligaments become stiff. So that will lead to a stiffness and reduced motion of your joints. So if the joints and muscles are not flexible and you start gym or some sporting activities, you are bound to have some injuries. So what happens to your bones? Bones also becomes weak after 40. Everyone knows about osteoporosis and the impact in the community. So you can see that 40 to 45 years is the point where your bones starts becoming weak. So if you go through the other causes of osteoporosis, you can see that lack of exercise is a major cause of osteoporosis. So there is a slowing of metabolism and BMR after 40 years. So BMI, so that's nothing but weight by height square. So after 40, there is an increase in BMI. Your fat deposition, your muscles are changed to fat. So there is an increase in BMI in all individuals after 40. So that peaks around the age of 50 in men, and in women it actually goes through, and the weight gain is until 70 years. So when in orthopedic point of view, we are more concerned of the joint pain and obesity. So every 1 kg of increase in body weight will lead to 4 times the compression load of the knee, and if you reduce 10% of your weight, that can lead to 28% improvement in function. So we all know that physical fitness should be the part of our daily life. So we all know the benefits of physical activity. So I would like to highlight 2 major benefits. The all-cause mortality if you are physically active is reduced by 30%, and hip fractures if you are active and you follow your regular physical exercise is reduced to 68%. That's a big amount. So how active you should be? So what are the recommendations? So you should be doing 150 minutes of a low to moderate activity every week. So that's around 30 minutes of activity per day, or 75 minutes of vigorous activity per week, that is around 15 minutes per day. So you should be doing strength training like the muscle strengthening exercise at least 2 days a week, and you should reduce your sedentary time and do some balancing exercise combined with your regular exercise. So where are we now? So the studies show that only 1 in 4 women and 1 in 5 men are physically active, and only 34% of men and 24% of women do muscle strengthening exercise 2 days a week. And when you compare the sedentary life, men are more likely than women to follow a sedentary life, not only on the weekend but every day. So there are 3 types of fitness exercise. One is cardiovascular, second is flexibility training, and third is strength training. So we all know what is cardiovascular fitness, the aerobic fitness like jogging, running, cycling, swimming. These exercise increase your ability of the heart and respiratory system, and it's good for overall fitness. So why is it important? There is we measure your aerobic fitness and aerobic capacity by something called the VO2 max. So that's nothing but the rate of oxygen your body is able to use during exercise. So you all know the benefits in cardiac and respiratory part, but the study shows that if you have a good VO2 max, it reduces the risk of cancer by 27% and reduces the mortality by dementia by around 50%. So next is flexibility training. If you daily do only aerobic exercise, your muscles and joints are not going to be flexible. So you need to include some flexibility training along with your aerobic exercise. So your yoga and Pilates are very good stretching and flexibility exercise, and you can do your regular warm-up and stretching exercise also. So as I told, 2 days for strength training. It can be with body weight, your dumbbells, or you can use the machines. So the main aim of strength training is to improve the muscle mass and reduce the fat content of the muscles. So studies show that those who are stronger have significantly lower mortality rate compared to the other group, and it's the biggest factor that plays a role in reducing your mortality. So as orthopedic surgeons, we are more bothered about knee OA and strength training. So if you increase your calf muscle strength, the quadriceps and the hamstring, there is definitely improvement in pain scores and improvement in gait. So a basic test we all can do and test where we stand today is to do your 30-second sitting to standing test. You can try at home. You sit and stand for 30 seconds and count how many times you can do that. If you are above 22, you are good enough, you have good endurance and strength in your leg. 15, anything above 15 is okay, average, but if you are in anything 11 and below that, you should seriously think about starting your physical activity. So walking is a great way to improve your general health. We all know the benefits of walking. So 30 minutes of walking is the recommended time. So they say 30 minutes of brisk walking. So many people ask me what is brisk. So brisk means you can talk while you walk, but you can't sing. That's the definition for brisk walking. And patients comes and we are walking for like 30 minutes every day, but weight is not reducing. The same weight is continuing for maybe last 6 months. But if you are seriously into losing weight, this 30 minutes of walking is not enough. You should either increase the time or start jogging or running, or include some other form of exercise along with walking. Walking is not a great exercise to reduce weight. So we all know the steps per day count. Most of us will be having the smartwatches. So by the end of the day, it will show like 3,000, 3,500 steps. So generally accepted thing is 10,000 steps per day. But anything above 7,000 a day is acceptable. Any increase in 1,000 steps per day decreases the mortality risk by 23%. So 7,000 steps per day should be the cutoff. Running, again, it's an extended form of walking, a great aerobic exercise, but during the COVID times, we had seen many new injuries in the leg and upper body because of running. So if you are not a regular runner, unless you condition your body and start strengthening exercise, don't start running straight away. These are the main causes for running injuries. So the main injuries that happens in running is in the ankle, the knee and the hip. Even if the hip is tight and the hip muscles are weak, it can get knee injuries. So of the tips to prevent the running injuries, there is something called the 10% rule. That means don't progress your mileage by more than 10% from one week to another. That's the same, the warm-up, cool-down, strength training. I will skip all these slides. So treadmill, it's a great way to burn your calories, a good aerobic exercise, but the fate of treadmill in most of the houses is this. So most of the people ask, is the treadmill bad for knees? This is a big question. So there are studies supporting both. Some say it's bad for the knee, some say it's okay for the knee. But my opinion, it's not bad for the knee if you follow proper technique, wear proper shoes. While walking on the treadmill, don't take too fast steps. Always use short steps. So actually treadmill is good for knees if you don't have any previous injury to the knee and arthritis. If the knee is virgin, treadmill is fine. So gym training you can do with body weights, free weights, weight machines. A lot of us are already into the gym. So the general protocol in gym to be followed is stretching, exercise, cooling and good food, mainly protein. So the main injuries in gym which we see are the knee, shoulder and the ankle, followed by the upper body. So to prevent gym injuries, again the warm-up as I told. So always have a good trainer. Your diet should include more of proteins and always keep your core strength strong. And next is swimming. The main advantage of swimming is a 3-in-1 exercise. Like it's a flexibility exercise, it's an aerobic exercise and also it's a strengthening exercise. So we have some injuries particular to the swimming part. So swimmer's shoulder, neck injuries and swimmer's knee. So the technique and the practice and the mode of strokes are very important to prevent swimming injuries. We all know the injuries in football. ACL injuries are very common. So of late we have seen so many turf injuries, especially the ligament injuries in football. So those who have been to the turf might have seen some small black particles in the turf. So that's the main cause for the injuries, like that infill, that's called infill silica gels, that's put in the turf to reduce the impact and to reduce slipping. So the maintenance of turf is very important. So sometimes we will use cheaper infills that can cause injuries and the amount of infills will be less sometimes. So if you visit a new turf and you visit the same turf after 1 year, you can see that the infills are only in some areas, patched areas. So that might lead to injuries. That actually prevents from slipping. So I will skip this slide. So badminton again, there is something called a lunge because we go forwards and backwards. It's a repeated motion. So we need good core control, hip control and the knee dynamic stability. The most common injuries in badminton is one is ankle and the second one is elbow. You might have heard of tennis elbow. So using the right gadget, the right racket and focusing on the footwork is the most important thing when it comes to badminton. Cycling. So we have cycling club in most of the towns now. So again, like swimming, cycling is a 3-in-1 exercise, flexibility, strength and cardiovascular. Most common injuries cyclists are with neck, back and knee injuries. So there is something called ABC in cycling. The alignment of the body is important. The bike itself is an important thing. The height of the bike and something called conditioning. You should be doing strengthening exercise and other flexibility training if you are a cycler. So injuries broadly could be a mild injury, mild tear or a sprain, or it could be a major injury where sports surgeons have active role where we do repair or reconstruction of the ligament. So whenever, whatever injury, if it's grade 1 or grade 3, in the first 72 hours we follow the price. If you or your relative or your colleague has some sports injury or any other injuries, follow the protocol called PRICE, like protection, rest, ice, compression and elevation. And what to avoid in the first 72 hours is don't harm your joint, avoid heat, alcohol, re-injury and avoid massage. So healthy and balanced diet is part of your physical activity. So 3 best nutrition in middle age is protein, calcium and fiber. So reduce your carbs and avoid sugar completely. So lunchtime, and I will skip this slide. So the first thing to do is correct your posture. So you should have a relaxed shoulder, open up chest. Don't droop and sit in your front of your computer or in your OPD. Second thing is something called the text neck. You can't avoid mobiles. So don't flex your neck towards the mobile. Bring the mobile towards you, because every 15 degrees you flex the neck, there is increase in the weight on the neck. So you can see this 60 degrees, the weight on the neck is around 27 kg compared to normal 5 kg. So the right time to start your physical activities today. You don't need fancy equipment, gadgets, or don't need to join a gym. Have an exercise mat, sports shoes, and one pair of dumbbell. So warm up, we have general warm ups and sports specific dynamic warm ups. It's in itself a bigger topic. So the best way to start is walking or a light jog. So a road to best good abs is starting planks. Plank is a very good exercise to increase your core strength. And squats. Squats help with mobility and strengthening of your lower torso. Yoga is a basic stretching and flexibility, good strengthening exercise also. So start with some basic yoga poses. Try to get a good trainer, and then you can go into more challenging poses. So if you are still lazy, anything in this slide is considered as a moderate activity. Take one of them as your hobby. Start gardening, dancing, or even swimming. So I will summarize. So 150 minutes of low intensity or moderate intensity workout per week. So that counts to around 30 minutes per day, or 75 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise. 2 strength sessions per week. So your diet should be 80% healthy diet and 20% cheat diet, not the opposite. 7,000 steps per day minimum. Always include protein-rich foods and include some balance and mobility exercise. You are free to contact me. My number. Thank you. I think it was very fast. As time was short.
Thank you, Dr. Srihari. I request Dr. Amrutakala, Jwala Convener, State King.